As I'm talking about this, I just remembered that my sisters got me a Father's Day gift, and we literally left like we went away about 2 days before Father's Day. And I remember when we came back, I had the gifts right there, and my wife's like, hey, are you gonna open these things? My name is Jose Moreno. On this podcast, we discuss current and future trends in the electrical industry. Welcome to the life of an electrical contractor. On this podcast, we discuss real-life experiences within the electrical construction industry. Welcome to the life of an electrical contractor. Recently took 2 weeks off, and I was able to travel overseas with my wife and my two kids. I have two teenagers. Obviously, if you've been following the show for a while, my daughter's 16 and my son's 14. Right? They're both in high school, and as much as I enjoy it, and obviously because of the previous 2 years that everything's been going on with COVID, we really haven't traveled afar, right? We've gone, nearby and stuff, but and nothing as long as this, right? But the reason I'm sharing this with you is because a vacation, traveling time, it's vital. It's important to your life and to the life of those you love, right? A lot of the times we don't dedicate this, right? And, some of the people I've recently spoken to, as I got back, everybody naturally asks you like, oh, how was it? Where did you go? And it's, when you say I was away for 2 weeks, it's like, whoa, that sounds amazing. Oh, I was away, and, I was in Europe for 2 weeks. Oh, wow. And don't get me wrong, man, it was amazing. It was exciting, but there was a lot of ups and downs, man, because not only am I dealing with my stuff, I'm dealing with my wife's stuff, my two teenager kids stuff, right? What are we basically? We're away from our normalcy, right? We're somewhere else, right? No matter how much you try, it's still, you're away, right? But what I wanted to actually focus on was why we do this, right? Why did I choose to do this, Because this was my choice. This was something that I planned, right? Obviously, if you follow this channel and you follow me and you hear what I'm talking about, I'm constantly planning. I'm deciphering the vision. I'm sharing the vision. I'm sharing this with the team. I'm sharing this with customers, with potential customers, with you. I'm sharing with you how I plan these things. So obviously I'm a planner, right? I plan things. I set goals. I set outcomes, and then I go after them, right? And then I measure. I reset, and then I begin again, right? But like anything, like that famous quote from Mike Tyson that says, everybody has a plan till you get punched in the face, right? And this is just like in business, and obviously just like in personal life, right? Things are not exactly gonna go the way you planned it, but that's where. I think that's where it that fun begins to, you're able to develop that fun, and that's where you actually really begin to live, right? Because we're not robots. And a robot, an AI, whatever you want to call it, you write a code into it, right? A robot, you give it directions, right? You tell it exactly what to do, and it does. That's it. It does. I know most of you know what a Roomba is, right? And I know the Roomba in my house, when it goes around, it knows that when it hits the wall, boom, it turns around and shifts the other way, right? In my pool, the robot that cleans, right? I sometimes look at this thing and I'm like, how does this thing figure out how to clean my whole pool? Because it just kind of goes up one wall and then comes right back down, and then it shifts and goes completely somewhere else, right? But it somehow does it, right? So, but in our lives, we're not robots. And on top of that, we're not living by ourselves, right? Like I just said, I took time away from the business. I took time away to spend with my wife and my two kids. So now that's 4 different people coming together, 4 different people's experiences, look at life, whatever you want to call it, coming together. And on top of that, we are going into a strange area, something that we are not accustomed to, which is we're putting ourselves into a place which has a lot of other people, right? So it's a giant mixture of things coming together, right? So of course things are not gonna go as planned, right? But I think that's where I want to kind of get us into, right? So first of all, the one thing I wanted to bring up as a level of importance is that why did we go into business, right? You know, and not even just why, but when we go into business, what exactly is it that we do, right? So obviously, we market, we inspire, right? We try to show why we do things, how we can do something better, how you can enjoy this thing that we're about to embark on, and then obviously you sell the you sell the pitch, right? You have that pitch, and then you actually go through it, right? You ultimately perform, right? So, you know, how does all this come together, right? Why does your vacation, Jose, matter, right? And the reason it matters, at least obviously it matters to me, right? So that's why you're tuning into this, right? Because I'm telling you my story, right? Is that it's a gift, right? And it's a gift because the reason we started a company, the reason I started a business, the reason you perhaps went to school and got that job, the reason you keep working and striving perhaps to get that promotion, the reasons, all these reasons is for what? Ultimately is to acquire money, right? So that you can be able to take time. I think that's where the disconnect happens, because we just keep working and working and working. And obviously nobody sees the late nights, the weekends, the early mornings, the all different kind of scenarios. Shit hits the fan, you know, everything you can think of, right? Nobody sees those things. You know, it's kind of like that picture that everybody that I'm sure everybody's seen is that success, and it shows like the iceberg, right? But nobody sees everything that's underneath. Nobody sees how big that thing is. That's obviously that is how life is, and it doesn't matter whether it's an entrepreneur or you're at a job or you're a mother running a family, you're a father running a family. It's the same thing. Or you're a student. It's the same thing, man. People just see that one thing. They don't realize everything that's happening underneath, right? But the reason I'm sharing all this stuff with you is because the reason you're doing all these things is to acquire time, right? And time is what? Freedom, right? To acquire freedom. And a lot of the times we don't do that. See, we don't take time for ourselves. We don't take time to open our gift, right? We have that gift there and we don't even know we got it. You know, as I'm talking about this, I just remembered that my sisters got me a Father's Day gift, and we literally left like we went away about 2 days before Father's Day. And I remember when we came back, you know, I had the gifts right there, and my wife's like, "Hey, are you going to open these things?" And I was like, yeah, I'm going to open them, right? Because we came back, you know, again, like 2 weeks later, whatever, 15 days later. And they're in my dining room there, a couple bags of gifts, and I'm looking at them. And I keep walking by them because it's like, well, you know, it's all right. I'll open them later, right? And as I'm even sharing with you, I'm realizing how often we have gifts right there, and we're unwilling to open them, right? So again, in your job, in your business, in your professional life, perhaps in your student life, right? Are you giving yourself time to open that gift? And that gift is time for yourself, whether it's to go to the gym, whether it's to maybe meditate, right? And if you don't know how to meditate, maybe it's picking up how to meditate. See, a lot of people say like, oh, I don't go to the gym because I don't know what to do. I don't know how to meditate because I don't know what to do. I don't go away because I don't know where to go, right? All these things. And listen, man, they're all excuses, and there will always be excuses, right? But what I wanted to share with you is that gift, that ability to really take time. It's there. If you don't take it, somebody else will. So you might as well take it. And for me, the part that the reason was important is, well, my kids are 16 and 14. My daughter's going to college in 2 years. My son in 3 years. As much as I say I've been in their life growing up, right? Well, they're going to be adults soon. And they're going to go create their own lives. Not that I'm trying to hold on to them, but you know what? I figured, you know what? It's still important to spend time with them and to keep instilling in them that deeper meaning that I'm living through, that I'm learning, that I want to offer them, right? And there is no other way to do that than through spending time with them, right? So I wanted to share that with you because we don't want our business to become our jail. We don't want our job to become our jail. Now, don't get me wrong. I love working. And at times people may say, man, you work so much. And it's like, dude, I enjoy what I do. All right. You know, some people say, work hard, play hard, right? Well, it's not work little, play a lot, It's work hard, play hard. Now, that work hard is going to be different for everybody, and it's going to be different for everybody at every different level. See, what I'm able to do now in an hour perhaps used to take me 3 months when I first started, right? That's just similar to you. But the overall idea here is take time. And take it because it's precious. I don't need to tell you, I don't need to show you, but I'm sure all you got to do is take 5 people in your life and then go through those 5 people and maybe go one past them. And I'm sure someone has been affected recently by something and they're no longer here, or perhaps they were very close to no longer being alive. And I just heard this yesterday. No one in their deathbed, no one's going to say, I wish I worked one more hour. So just think about that, right? All right. So the second item that I wanted to share, at least for me, was, see, I just mentioned time, right? And time is extremely important because it's something you never get back, right? But there is another part to it, because you can't just give something time, right? It's not just, at times I can be somewhere. There's times I show up at the house and my wife's like, hey, you here? Because my mind is somewhere else. See, that's called presence. So another item that I discovered, that I remembered and I was able to really experience, and this is why I'm sharing this with you, is like, so you've gone ahead and made time. You've gone ahead and made the decision to take time with your family or with yourself, whatever it is. Now be present. Be there. Because you already discovered that you'll never get that time back, because once that time passes, it's gone. But were you really there? Did you really enjoy it? And when I say enjoy it, I'm being very loose here, because I'll give you an example. We went to a restaurant, and it was in Provence, in France, and we went to a restaurant, and man, we actually laughed about it the day after, even a little bit afterwards, but it was a complete nightmare. The place looked happening. We sat down, and then all of a sudden, just the wheels came off, man. And we all ordered food, and then we realized, man, the cups are sticky, and we're like, oh man, we it's probably better we leave. And then we were like, nah, well, we just here. Let's just give it a try, right? And we're going through it, and at least what's coming, the thing that's coming to my mind right now is that my wife ordered a steak, and she got her steak. I was naturally pissed off because I'm like, crap, I picked this shitty restaurant, trying to make this experience wonderful for my family, and I picked a shitty restaurant and all this other crap. And out of all the restaurants that are here, I picked this shitty one, right? Which is like the thing that we all do, right? And I started diving into my own shit, right? And then I realized my wife's like, she's not eating. She she threw a napkin over the thing. She just didn't want to. My daughter, she ordered a salmon. She wasn't feeling it. My son ordered a pasta, and I think he was just hungry because he was eating it. And I actually started getting freaked out because I'm like, oh my God, I hope this kid doesn't get food poisoning from eating this thing. And had a bottle of wine. I didn't even want to drink the wine anymore. I just wanted to get out of there. And I asked the waiter, like, hey, dude, please give me the check so we can, get going. And of course, this is all after a long day of sightseeing and doing our thing, which is probably why my family and even myself were maybe at a short fuse, right? But here's where the funny part comes. The waiter comes and says, "Oh, how was everything?" Because to him, everything was going right? But for us, we were in a whole nother world, man. And he sees my wife, like she has a napkin over her plate, and he lifts it up. And he says, "What happened? You don't like your steak?" And she says, "Oh, no, I'm very full." At that moment, it was almost like an icebreaker, because and when he left, we all started laughing, right? Because it's like, I don't know. I personally have never been at a restaurant where the waiter lifted the napkin off and then questioned why I didn't eat it. I don't know. But it was funny. And what happened is a shitty experience turned into probably a lifelong memory, laughing wise, right? That took place somewhere like halfway of our trip. So for the rest of the trip, we laughed about it, right? Whether it was me about to choose a restaurant, because they're like, oh, be careful, we don't want one of those again, right? Or are we sure we're gonna eat here? Things like that. Or perhaps, don't hide the food with a napkin, things like that, right? So what I'm trying to say is that, being present, even in the shitty moments, right, still gives you an opportunity to create a lifelong experience. Like I said earlier, we only want to create these wonderful things, and we think only through these magical moments are your family, yourself, you're gonna remember. But you remember everything, okay? And even through the idea of a shitty experience, you may find the bigger lesson in it, right? And for me, even that night, because I owned it. I'm like, fuck, I picked that restaurant, and I actually wasn't even too 100% on picking it, but I was just like, I'm tired. You guys are like hungry. Let's just freaking eat here. And what I realized is that every experience, good or bad, has a lesson and it has a gift in it. And this was that. We were able to laugh about it. We were able to enjoy it, and we were able to laugh, and we're still able to laugh. I believe this past weekend we were just telling the story to somebody and we were all laughing about it, right? So the idea is to not just to take time, like I mentioned before, right? So you're not jailed by your business, by your job, by your circumstances. But when you do take that time, be there, be present, even in the shitty moment, because who knows that through that shitty moment, you actually might discover, you might unwrap the bigger gift, the bigger lesson, the bigger magical moment that could live on for much longer periods of time. For not just for you, but for your spouse, for your kids, for your friends, for whatever, And the other part is, like I said, my kids are going to be in college in a couple of years, but let's focus on your spouse, right? That woman or man that you love, will they still be there? Because at the end of the day, if the reason you're doing everything you're doing is to be able to spend time with them and then give them something of value, so to say, right? That requires you to be there. That requires you to be there present. And I'm telling you, I'm 100%, I'm guilty of not being there all the time, right? The only thing that helps me is that I've asked my wife to nudge me, tell me like, hey, you here? Because at least that reminds me sometimes when I'm not there, right? And at least on this trip, the one thing that helped me a lot was that I disconnected from the business, right? And I was able to feel all these things. I was able to navigate through all these things, and my kids didn't want to go sightseeing here. I was able to feel that and be like, hey, can we adapt to this? Can we adjust to this situation? I realize it's extremely hot. Maybe we can have an ice cream. Maybe we can have some water. Maybe we can have an extra break, right? But realistically, like, come on, guys, we're in another country. Like, let's do something. I don't want to sit in a hotel. And we were able to navigate through those things, right? Perhaps if I was wrapped up by my business because something didn't go right over here, right? I may have not been able to do that. I might have told them, you know what? Fuck it, stay in the hotel. I get to go to work, right? But that's not what this is about, right? It's that being present, right? And then ultimately, you don't want to be jailed by your business or your job, right? If you've been building teams, if you're a part of a team, then you want to know that your team can still play if you go down, if you step away, What if you get hurt? Can your team still function, or is it done? You know, what reminds me now is certain teams that say, you know what, next player up, right? Someone got hurt, next player up. Well, right now, it's not like I got hurt. I took time and I relied on the team to do what they do. Are they going to do it like the way I freaking want? Probably not, but they're going to do it the way they have to go through it so they can learn how to show up, right? So time, presence, right? All right. The last one that I found as a interesting, it's so easy to complain, right? And it's so easy to blame and shame, because like I mentioned earlier, there was one day we went somewhere and it was extremely hot, and it was hot. That's it. It was hot. And they were like, why are we out here? Why are we this? Why are we that? And I could have easily, and as a matter of fact, I believe I was starting to get towards that, where it's like, you guys are ungrateful, you this and all that. And then I realized that's just me, a part of me, perhaps my ego being hurt because of that. I realized that once again, you're away with loved ones, with people that they can't think like you 100, because they're not you. All right. And at the same time, they're teenagers. They have no idea about life. One is 16 and one is 14, their world is very, very small. Right. And if I'm constantly trying to make all of them happy, you're going to be like a clown, the clown that makes everybody else laugh, but then he goes home and cries. Right. But what I realize is, by being able to not make it about me and realize that, yeah, it's hot. Listen, I'm hot too. But how often are we going to get over to here? Right? When's the next time we're going to be here? And at the same time, is how long are we really going to be here? Right? So shifting the perspective, even for yourself, when you're in the middle of chaos, so to say, will help you. And it will help you find the opportunity. And more importantly, just like in business, you still got to sell these ideas to the ones that are following you, because you're the leader, right? So trust yourself. Okay? Trust yourself in what you're doing. Trust yourself in what your original intention was, and even the intention as it begins to unfold, because like everything else, like I already told you, once you get punched in the face, things change, right? So getting punched in the face, and you know what? I know it's a lot of the things that people don't hear about getting punched in the face is like, punch back. You're able to punch back. Now you don't have to physically punch back. There's other ways to punch back, right? There's ways of suggestions, right? Like you can punch back in a suggestion. Okay, like I said earlier, let's take a break. Let's take an ice cream, right? Perhaps we don't go as long today, let's go let's sit in an air conditioning a little bit, or let's take an extra lunch, or you know what? Talking the items through. Ultimately, you still got to make the choice. I mean, it's you. You're the one who planned it. It's your vision. You're the one who's selling it to them. And you're the one that's there trying to create. You're the one who has taken the decision to create this magical moment, this magical experience that it's going to last. Even like I said, even the shitty experiences, right? Like the shitty restaurant we ate. I think one of them we went on a lavender field, and my son goes, "I thought we were just gonna go see lavender fields. Why are we still out here? They're all the same." And it's like, you know what? You're right. They are all the same. But we're out here. What are you going to do? It took us like 2 hours to get out here. Let's just keep seeing them. Let's just drive through the whole town, right? That type of thing, him remembering that, him walking through these lavender fields filled with bees. Mind you, he's scared of bees, and trying to get him to understand that those bees don't want anything to do with you, because you know what they are focused on? Those lavender fields. Those lavender plants, whatever, because they were ready. They were fresh, right? That's where they were pollinating, right? These are the lessons that they will remember, right? And if you don't believe in yourself, if you don't take time, if you're not there present, if you're not there willing to talk them through these things, talk yourself through these things will never happen. And like I said before, like, you know, who on their deathbed is going to say, oh, I wish I worked one more hour. You know, I wish I would have done one more deal, you know? I say these things because, like I mentioned before, time is your most important thing in life. And if you're not utilizing it, before you know it, it will go by you and you won't realize what happened. And then you'll feel like, what did I do? Now, doesn't mean your life is over. And I really hope that, and I really wish that you don't discover this on your deathbed. Because it doesn't matter how old are you when you perhaps discover this. Because if you're hearing this and you're 20, dude, you're just getting started. If you hear this and you're 30, dude, you're just getting started. If you're hearing this and you're 40, bro, you're just getting started. Shit, if you're hearing this and you're 50, you're 60, you're just getting started. We're living longer now than ever. Why don't you focus on today and the time that you may have left versus the time that perhaps has passed already, right? Use the time that has passed as a method to, okay, you know what? I'm not going to do that anymore. The overall idea that I wanted to share with this is, right, is make time, right? You have it. It's there. Just make it, right? Don't get jailed by your business or job, okay? Now, that doesn't mean don't work hard, okay? Because ain't nothing going to show up in your life by working a little bit, okay? Those people that you think work a little bit, they worked real hard to figure out how to make that look like a little bit. And even in that little bit, you have no idea what else they're doing to make that happen in that little bit. And remember why you made the time for the magic. All right? As always, thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed my little explanation about a vacation, right? If any of this info you find valuable, hit the subscribe button, as well as remember to share it with someone who may need to hear it. Feel free to comment below, and as always, catch you on the next one.